Hello and welcome to another class. Today we will be learning about the law of cosines. So the law of cosines can be used to find missing angles or missing sides when we have non-right triangles. So let's look at the law of cosines. The law of cosines is actually divided into three different equations, but if you look at the equations, they actually follow the same pattern. All of them have three letters. So as you can see on this triangle, you have A, B, and C for angles A, B, and C and sides A, B, and C. When we look at the first equation, you have A squared equals B squared plus C squared minus 2 times B times C times the cosine of A. If we look at the three equations, technically they're all the same equation. All you're doing is switching the letters around. So here you have A here by itself at the beginning and at the end. So as you can see in all three equations, they all start and end with the same letter. Then after the equal sign, you have the other two letters, and then those same two letters repeat after the -2. So B and C here, AC, A and C here, and then AB, and then AB here. So basically you can use a lot of cosines with any letters. It doesn't have to be A, B, and C. Just remember the pattern. First and last are always the same. And then these two letters that are being squared and added are always the same as here, being multiplied after the -2 before the cosine of, again, the first letter. Same thing as before, when we name the sides opposite to the angles, we use the same letters. So across from angle A, we'll have side A. Across from angle B, we'll have side B. And across from angle C, we'll have side C. Let's look at the first problem. So this time we are looking for a side. In this particular example, we are looking for side C. So out of the three equations, we are going to use the one that starts and ends with a C. So knowing that information, I'm going to write C squared equals the other two letters, which are A and B, and then we're going to square them and add them, minus 2A and B, the same two letters, times the cosine of the first letter, which is C. So now I'm going to start plugging in the information that I do know, and the information that I don't know, I'm going to leave it as the variable. So I don't know what side C is, so I'm going to leave it as little c, and then I'm going to square it. I'm going to take side A, which is 8, and then I'm going to square it. I'm going to take side B, which is 11, and I'm going to square it, minus 2 times side A, which I already said was 8, times side B, which I already said was 11, times the cosine of 37. So when you're looking for a side, notice how you have the variable on the left side being squared, and then everything on the right side is just numbers. So basically what we're going to do is just go to our calculator and plug it in and take the square root. So I'm going to go to my calculator. Again, all I'm going to do is do 8 squared we go. So 8 squared plus 11 squared minus 2 times 8. So I'm going to use my parentheses. And then 11 times the cosine of 37. Again, please make sure your calculator is in degrees because we are talking about degrees. Press enter. We get that c squared is around 44.44, Again, all we have to do is take the square root on both sides. That's 0.4402. So what I like to do is I like to put the square root function, go using my up arrow and pressing enter, so that way it will copy the whole decimal. That way I'm not rounding until the end. So when I do, my rounded answer will be 6.67. So that will be equal to C. So looking for the side again is pretty easy, because you will always have all the variables, all the numbers on one side, and then the variable by itself on the other side. So let's look at another example. So now we're looking for side B. Like I said before, when we start writing our equation, we'll start with b squared equals the other two letters, which are a and c quantity squared, minus 2 times a times c times the cosine of the first letter, which is b. I'm going to start plugging in my information. I don't know what little b is. That's what I'm looking for. I do know that side A is 15. And I know that side C is 20 minus 2. Again, I know that A is 15, and I know that C is 20 times the cosine of 124 degrees. I'm going to go to my calculator and plug all that information in. So 15 squared plus 20 squared minus 2 times 15 times 20 times the cosine of 124. Press enter. I know that c squared is going to be equal to that. So b squared is equal to 960.516. Again, all I have to do is take the square root on both sides, because I have b squared. So take the square root of the answer, press enter, and I get my answer to be around 30.99. So b is equal to 30.99 after we take the square root on both sides. Finding an angle is going to be a little bit more complicated. We're just going to add a few more steps, but the setup is going to be the same. So in this example, they're telling us to find the measurement of angle y. So again, we're going to start our equation with y squared equals x squared plus z squared minus 2xz times the cosine of y. Like I said before, you don't have to go back to a, b, and c. If you do feel more comfortable doing that, you can. You will get the same answer. So side y, which is 6, and then we're going to square it, equals side x, which is 8, and we're going to square it, plus side z, which is 9, and then we're going to square it, minus 2 minus times 8 times 9 times the cosine of y. So in this one, if you notice, the variable is attached to the cosine, so that will be the last thing that we do. There's one trick that I like to do. I like to group them together to make my life a little bit easier when I'm solving. So I'm going to have my 3 different groups. My first group is going to consist of whatever number I have squared by itself. My second group is going to be the 2 things that I'm adding and squaring at the same time. And then whatever's left is going to be my third group. So I know that 6 squared is 36. I know that 8 squared plus 9 squared is 145. And I know that negative 2 times 8 times 9 is negative 144. Don't forget your negative. The negative is part of it. So negative 2 times 8 times 9 times the cosine of y. So again, we're solving for y, so I need to get rid of this number here first. So I'm going to subtract 145 from both sides. Once I do that, I'm left with negative 109 on the left side equals negative 144 cosine of y. Divide both sides by negative 144. Then all I have to do is take the inverse cosine of negative 109 divided by negative 144. I do know that they're both negative, so I can make it positive just to make my life a little bit easier. Save a step. So I'm going to go to my calculator. I'm going to put the inverse cosine of negative 109 divided by negative 144, or like I said, I can just do 109 divided by 144 since they were both negative. They just become positive. So now I know that my angle is equal to 40.80 once I round. And don't forget your degree sign because we are talking about an angle. So now let's look at the last example. Again, we're looking for an angle. So we're looking for angle C. So we should start our equation with C squared equals the other two letters, square and add it, minus 2 AB times the cosine of C. So I know that side C is 5, then I'm going to square it. I know that side A is 10, I'm going to square it. And I know that B is 7, and then I'm going to square it as well. Minus 2 times 10 times 7 times the cosine of C. Let's do our grouping first. So this 5 squared will be a group, 10 squared plus 7 squared will be a group, and then from the negative 2 all the way to the cosine will be another group. 5 squared is 25, and then 10 squared plus 7 squared will give me 149 minus 2 times 10 times 7 will give me negative 140 cosine of C. Like I said before, I'm going to subtract 149 from both sides, leaving me negative 124 equals negative 140 cosine of C. Divide both sides by negative 140. As you can see, they're both negative, so I can make it into a positive. And then all I have to do is go to my calculator and find the inverse cosine of 124 over 140. Inverse cosine of 124 divided by 140. Then that will give my answer in degrees, so it's about 27.66 degrees. So that's all I have for today. Thank you, and come back for another video later.